first video. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so happy. I'm looking at my laptop because I want to make sure that I talk about stuff that makes sense and that we stay structured, and what got you to click on the video makes you actually get to hear it. So let's get into it. My very first video, and I think what I want to start with is how I've lost 87 pounds working full-time corporate America and travel monthly for the last 2.5 years, and how I'm keeping it off. I gained some back, but I'm actually in the process of losing weight again right now. So welcome, and I hope that you continue to join, subscribe. We're gonna talk about the core 5 habits. We're gonna talk about all the things. So 2.5 years ago, I was 87 pounds heavier. Just gotta let that sink in for a minute. I was overweight. I was wearing seatbelt extenders, traveling for work every month. I'm wondering if this change is even like lasting for me. So the point where I actually had a couple epiphanies, I had a woman's wellness checkup. For about 15 years. I was struggling with my monthly cycles. Without getting into too many gory details, if you know, you know, I have endometriosis. So it's not endometriosis. Blah, blah, blah. It's not endometriosis. It's endometriosis. Anyways, I'll put the correct spelling here. It's very painful. And I was, again, 87 pounds overweight. And so all my OBGYNs for the last 12 years were like, you're just overweight. In fact, let's double your birth control. And I'm 40, 45. And they're like putting me on pills, birth control pills. And I was like, this cannot be my life. This cannot be it. And I was exhausted. I was hemorrhaging, all the things. And so I finally got officially diagnosed, and I had 3 options. One was hysterectomy. One was a scraping. I forget what it's called now. And then the other one was menopause. And I'm kind of I was like 47, and I was like, I had just turned 47. And this was in January. September's my birthday, January of the following year. And I remember thinking, what? And she said, if you want to do a hysterectomy, because I was thinking, listen, let's do a hysterectomy. She's like, you have to go to the hospital because your BMI is so high. If something happens, because you're being completely inverted, you can't, we need you at the big hospital. And I was like, what? And I said, okay, well, and I had just started a GLP-1 journey, and I had already lost about 25 pounds. And I was like, okay, I'm already losing weight. It should be super simple. And I was like, what do you need me to be at for a BMI? She's like, around at least 45 and below. And I was like, okay. And I was like at 51, 52% BMI. And I was like, oh, no problem. I'll get that done in a month. I'll come back, and then we can do the more simple outpatient procedure. And she was like, okay, sure. Turns out dropping your BMI is very difficult, even on a GLP-1. But I had already been on a GLP-1, and I was looking, and I hired a coach, all the things. And I was watching my someone on Instagram go from a keto lifestyle, like ketogenic lifestyle, into a more natural lifestyle for the prior 2 years. And her life, she just felt, it was calling to me more and more and more. And then my grandfather passed, and I didn't realize how important Jesus was to him. And it really just ignited this whole thing. So I hired a coach. I started taking GLP-1s. I started focusing on sleeping. I started reading scripture, and I kept seeing oils being referenced over and over and over in the Old Testament. If you've ever read the Bible end to end, that's what's in there. So I started reading, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then I happened to be watching Brianna Culberson on Instagram, and she's talking about oils. And I was like, So I went and looked up the frankincense and all the things, and I was like, oh, this is expensive. It's okay. I work in corporate America. I have funds, but it wasn't an immediate buy. It's like $90. And I was like, ee. And so I just kept watching. And finally in February, so a month had gone by, and I had lost maybe 5-ish pounds, which is not enough to move from a 51% BMI to a 45. I needed to lose 20-ish pounds. And I take GLP-1s, and I did not take them in a manner of you stop eating. I was very, very specific, trying to gain muscle. I did it all the right ways. I was eating A lot of calories, lots of protein. I have we will talk about it in another video. But my point is, I ordered a kit through her, like her link, and I got this beautiful diffuser in 12 oils, and I started my journey. Well, then I went traveling, surprise, I went traveling, and I fell on my back, and I was like, what? And I bruised myself like this much. If you go to my Instagram account, you can, it's in there, it's under like my story, or I'll repost the link for you, but if you can do that, and who knows, this is my first video. So anyways, and I started using those oils as roll-ons, and then I started reading and using the Facebook page, and I was like, oh my gosh, these oils actually do so much more. And I started diffusing them, and sure enough, my energies start raising. I'm reading scripture. I'm getting like more in tune with me and my system and my like nervous system. My frequency is being raised. So anyhow, losing 87 pounds and gaining 25 pounds of muscle, and this whole journey of like swapping toxins out of my life and really focusing and developing these core 5 habits essentially is where it all ended up landing. I started doing these 14-day resets with this Ninja Red antioxidant drink that is like this powerhouse, beautiful, like with wolfberry puree, all the things. So at the end of the day, like, I'm a corporate professional. I'm a mom. I recently turned 50. I travel regularly for work. And I was struggling with staying consistent in a plan long enough so that my system felt safe enough to release the weight. So adding oils, adding the antioxidants, adding sleep, adding the GLP-1, adding a coach, adding the tracking, adding the accountability, adding the hydration with the minerals, adding, movement every day. And it was like starting at 10 minutes a day. Those are all my core 5 habits. And I basically started an Instagram account within about a year after my journey. And, faith, because I started to get full from scripture. I no longer desired the flesh, the food, the stuff. I mean, it didn't happen overnight, but I found myself seeking scripture more than food. And when you're in a spiritual alignment or have an awakening, it can be quite profound. And for me, that's what was happening consistently. So it wasn't like one magic solution, okay? And I've been overweight since I was like 13. And I don't have like a crazy story, and we'll talk about that at another time, but like why I was overweight. But that's just where the fact that I continue to lose weight, I continue to use the supplements, I continue to swap all the toxins, I continue leaning hard on my core 5 habits, and we are seeing results. I'm happier at work. I'm happy. I'm more focused at work. I'm more confident at work. I have a team that I'm leading now at work, all those things. So I'm just saying, I'd love for you to subscribe. Let's talk more about the journey, get deeper into specific topics, each core habit, the history, the experience, the journey. And this YouTube channel is a place for me to share all the things. And hopefully you like it, and I would love to see some subscribers, and check out the links if any of this inspires you and you feel like maybe I have a ton of free guides. So yeah, let's do it. Okay, bye.